Okay guys, we're back and I'm just setting up here. So we have a very interesting move from our opponent. A few weeks ago I had a game almost, well, a little different than this, but the same concept. It was a quite similar position out of the same line with d5, e takes d5, knight takes. I don't think I played knight takes d5. I think I played knight to b4. But somehow my opponent came up with the same idea to play queen d4. This move is not really obvious to me, and it's probably the best move. He's dropping the c2 pawn. This move, most people would play queen d2 or bishop d3 or something. He plays queen d4 here. That looks like #1 move of the position. Very dangerous. He's threatening to double rooks. I don't have e5. So it's quite awkward. F6, he's on g7. F6 looks very weakening to my white squares. If I have nothing better, I would play that, but in the game a couple weeks ago, or whenever it was, maybe last week, I ended up sacrificing my g7 pawn in some line. I guess I could play bishop d7. Looks ugly. He's going to play castles queenside or rook d1. Bishop e6 with the idea of f6. That's a protracted idea. Bishop e6. Castles queenside. Because I like bishop f5. At least it develops a piece. Guy has 4-minute time advantage. Damn. Queen d4. Normally I play knight to b4. I thought, well, this is more solid, I actually usually play this. And I thought, well, today I'll just play the simpler, more solid move. But I've never encountered this before in quite a few games in this position. Knight takes d5, queen takes d5, knight takes c6. Here, actually, b takes c is playable. It looks a little strange to do that to my pawn structure. And now queen takes c6, queen d4. I've played this position in a lot of games. I never recall anyone finding this. Queen d4. I normally would prefer knight b4 instead of knight takes d5 because it keeps the pieces on the board. And I'm usually playing for a win if I'm black. If I play the Sicilian, I'm usually trying to win. If I wanted a solid game where I was playing defensively, I would maybe play the Caro-Kann or something. So you want to win, you play a sharp opening like the Sicilian, and then you don't really want to trade a lot of pieces. So I normally don't go into this, but I thought, well, this is the first game. If it's a draw, it's a draw. It's a solid line. But queen d4, it's a very dangerous looking move. Taking this pawn looks extremely dangerous. In fact, well, it's just very dangerous. But I'm not sure that it's like a forced win. Rook c1, queen somewhere, or rook d1. Okay, now white missed the point, I think. It really seems like rook d1 is the entire... Rook d1 is the entire idea here. I think you have to play that move. If you don't play that move, then the whole thing doesn't really make sense. I was looking at, sacrificing the c2 pawn, tying me down along the d file. Maybe I have a move there, but rook d1 was the whole point. Now we have rook d8, so maybe we should be accurate here. Rook d8 develops a piece. Maybe a little complication in that event. Rook d8, queen b6. No, I just take on d3 there. Okay. We took our time. We got the stream back up. No camera. Oh, he sacked his queen this way. Yikes. I have to admit I missed that move. Alright, let's get it up to speed here. Okay, so no checks, no double attacks. So we play e6. Oh man, my queen is a little awkward. Still, I mean, white has to be in trouble here. Should I go to c8? Somehow it feels more dangerous. Threats like rook d3, rook c3. I was expecting bishop e4 there. Maybe now he does bishop there. Brother. I'm gonna lose on time, so I have to make instant moves. Instant moves, no time to think anymore. Wow. Okay, he has just rook and bishop for queen, which is really not enough. But I'm still in the center. We need to get out of the center. Spinal Tap is online. I was watching his game, one of his games earlier. Roan Ticha. Or Ticha, yeah. Saroche, welcome. I didn't have time to say hello. I was too busy restarting everything. So, greetings. Greetings to the Netherlands. When is the Weekendse starting? I wish I could just keep traveling and go to a lot of tournaments constantly, but I've been quite busy in the last couple months. I've played the chess tournament, poker series, so I guess I had to stay at home for a little while and get things back on track here. Too long away from the office. Would love to go to Weekendse to play some tournaments there. They have an interesting round robin system at Weekendse. Alright, I'm just gonna take my time, make sure we don't make a mistake, but 3-second increment is just enough. Keith Erdekel has to be very, very careful not to try to run me over on the clock, because that's not a good policy. In general, trying to win the game on time is not a good idea with this incremental system. So I recommend not doing that. I didn't mean to go pawn grabbing, but I was about to lose a pawn. I can't castle. Oh my god, I just realized it. White resigned. Why would you resign? Why would you resign now? You could take on b7 to take on a6. It was a mouse slip resign. Man, what a nice guy. This is a mess. I'm probably like losing here. Phew, there's no move. Okay. I mean, maybe I'm losing after this last. Bishop takes b7. What's going on? Why did he resign? Look at this. Computer says I'm better here. How can I be better? He's going to have 3 connected passed pawns on the queen side. I mean, there's no way I'm better in this position. I don't care what this engine says. 3 connected passed pawns. There's no way black is better. Okay, my computer is not that fast, so it probably doesn't understand. Can't calculate far enough to see that black is not better here. But resigning is out of the question. Actually, this was a good idea, to sacrifice the queen, the rooks for the queen and take on b7. And all right, let myself get in really bad time pressure there. According to the computer, we played a good game, but I feel like I'm not so sure. Just one quick thing I want to look at before we go on to the next game. After queen d4, this is actually played by Peter Enders against Attila Sebe. It's a very rare move. Almashi played bishop d3, so most people play bishop d3. This move is quite interesting. Queen d4. I think it looks very dangerous. I followed what other players have played, and now rook d1. They all played bishop c4 here. That's interesting. Maybe that's good as well. I was thinking about rook d1 in this position. That's a new move. Perhaps it's not sound. It looks quite interesting. Wow, bishop takes c2, rook c1 I thought, but rook d2. So it's a new idea, but okay, this is an important position theoretically. Okay, next game, Asi passes. Lou Barlow's Soul, what's up? Good to see you. We're back. We've been back. Actually, last week I was streaming, and now again this week after Christmas. We're going to be around for a while, not going anywhere. Today is regular openings, no unusual openings and whatnot. Wednesday is indeed very interesting. To play the open section starts on January 13th. So I thought that, I mean, you say the open section. What does that mean exactly, Saronche? Aren't the like groups divided up into like round robin groups or something? Or there's like an open tournament too? I'm not that sure. I've never been there. Is there a regular open tournament as well? That's what I thought, but then somebody was telling me something else about there's like these round robin groups. Okay, so Dutch defense, like fight ya, spoken in an American manner. What? Oh, fight ya. I'm sorry. I thought it said tight ya. I couldn't the font on my typed letters on Twitch. The F looks very, very close to the T when you need a prescription of glasses. Alright, so Asi passes. We've played this before, I have the feeling. This is some kind of Simon Williams variation. Wait, last time I did this standard like knight c3 and he plays knight c6. And I think... How did this go, actually? I'm not sure. I mean, knight c3. I know there's another move here, like b3. Not an opening that you spend a lot of time studying, because you don't encounter it enough. 94. Okay, that's how we got there. Okay, now I remember. So there's this German IM named Florian Graffel, who I played quite a few years ago here in Budapest, and he played this against me. And that's how we got this position. I remember now. Asi passes. Okay, so I always do queen c2, and you take, and I take with the pawn. Let's try to play like positional chess today. I mean, I've done quite a few of these b takes C's. I mean, I would think this like transposes to a kind of Queen's Indian when I take with the like more correct, quote unquote, correct queen capture. But I don't think it offers quite as many dynamic possibilities. Rook d1 is very tempting. Just that in the future, I wonder if I'll regret not having a rook to defend f2. White should try to play e4 here. But it's much easier said than done. I guess b3 is kind of logical also. Somewhat controversial, b3. I guess this is why I don't like to play queen takes c3. But anyway, it looks playable. You're right, divided into groups. Okay, it's round robin, but the first group is very interesting. Also a possibility to promote to group C to play in next year. One day I'll have to just sit down and look at the information on the website. It sounds a little confusing. But I'm sure it's not that confusing once you get a handle on it. So black like equalizes, just like that. It looks like to me, black is equalized here. Instantly. Nah, maybe not. I mean, e5, take. That's why I prefer. There's a game Shirov versus Simon Williams, I think. B takes C. As I've played before against Asi Passes. So that was pre my game with Florian Graffel. I guess it's also possible to take with the knight on e5, but that doesn't look. It doesn't look really dangerous. Now here, well, black's threatening e4. I mean, just winning by 4. So I'm gonna have to play e4. The question is when. I mean, knight d4 is going to be a kind of nightmare as well. Or I could play something else. Maybe there's something more solid for white. I don't really know what to play. I know that Asipessis has studied this particular position quite a bit. This is kind of his main defense, so he does know it better than me. What other moves could we play? Like weird move like c5 giving us a check on c4. Queen c1. It looks passive and stupid. e4, pawn takes pawn. Maybe this is okay. I mean, if e4, if knight d4, what do we do? Now I was thinking about attacking the queen, but then like the more you look at it, the queen goes like here and here. Does this help me? I mean, is there really a reason to attack his queen just for the physical, the aesthetic beauty of it controlling an open file, but does it actually do anything? I don't think it actually does anything. I'm a little bit worried about sometimes knight to d4. And I'm going to be like prepared to play maybe rook e1 or something like that. So something like that. As if there's a lot of other moves just like that. I thought they got rid of the C group, says Rune. Feels like black has a good game here. My computer keeps going to sleep on me. Somebody changed the sleep setting. So welcome everybody. I'm an international chess master based in Budapest, Hungary, originally from the United States. We are here Monday to Friday most weeks playing blitz and classical chess on lichess and trying to commentate, analyze the games as we play with the viewers like you guys. And everybody's welcome to challenge me, no matter if you're 1300 or grandmaster. Yesterday I ducked a strong player, Spinal Tap. Had a busy day yesterday. He was just not quite here in time. He's playing now. Sometimes he tunes in. What's going on? He's got an interesting ending there. It's like maybe he just finished his game. I don't know if he's listening to the stream or not. Anyway, we're talking in the chat about the tournament in Wijk aan Zee in the Netherlands, which is starting soon, 2 weeks from now. And I would love to go, but I've been traveling a lot and lost a bit of money playing poker in Prague, so our travel expenses are a bit diminished at the moment. E4 like feels almost forced, because if you don't play e4 is going to win a piece for black. C5, I mean, it's not just winning a piece, also black gains space by playing the move e4. C5, for example, e4, queen c4 check. Maybe I could do the c5, e4, queen c4 check, king h8, and then rook d1. He might win a piece there. Queen takes d1, rook takes d1, pawn takes f3, followed by like bishop takes b2. If you guys follow that line. So it almost seems as though I could have played rook d1, but I felt I was helping black just like move his queen to a good square. So when you think about it, I mean, it doesn't feel like there's a lot of options here other than e4 for white, which makes this a bad bishop on f6 temporarily. I mean, it's entirely possible this is a known position, and it takes me a while to discover fire and the wheel and things like that. But it feels very logical. Now the point is, as I mentioned earlier, if knight d4 I play here, which seems to be okay for white, hopefully. Maybe not. Okay, maybe not. Seen a little bit further now, and I'm not sure I like what I see, but there really isn't a lot of other option at this point now. Committed to this position, for better or for worse. I might have to do like an exchange sacrifice for a pawn, and that's not that bad. If you change the EN in the web address to the IT, what are we talking about? I'm missing the boat here. Less lag. What are you guys talking about? In what web address? Bishop g4, you found that, master. Okay, so knight d to e2 check wins the exchange. There is no good defense. The only way I could defend it would be queen e3, but that appears to lose to knight to c2 without a fight. So we could play rook takes e4, or bishop takes e4, or knight takes e4. Knight takes e4 check, take. I don't know why I like bishop takes e4 best. This is the variation I looked at first, and I thought it was the cleanest, but I might be wrong. I've been known to be wrong quite often. So I thought here I get like a pawn for the exchange and the better structure, which is just about enough compensation for losing a rook for a knight, for a bishop, basically. For a knight. Bishop. Whatever. What am I losing my rook for here? A knight. Yes. Difficult to formulate. Knight e2 check, take, rook e1. The bishop, he did that move. That's weird. Okay. I don't think that makes a big difference, does it? Bishop e2, Mr. Fancy. I mean, obviously knight e2 check is more expected, but there may be some subtle trap here. I can take on f1 with the knight or with the queen. It's a pity to take with the knight, because my knight would really like to go to bishop g5 is coming in some positions. To be on the safe side, this looks like a problematic move for me. So I think safety first. King takes would be nice with my knight heading for e4, but it also blocks my bishop. May not be so simple, so we'll stick with the original plan. I could theoretically gain a tempo by playing bishop d5 check, but I wanted to blockade the pawn on e4. e5. Very strong knight he has on e3. So we have one pawn for the exchange. Not really quite enough materially, but it should be tricky enough that we have good chances. Well, that's a fairly obvious concept. I don't want you coming in there. This knight has another good path, though, to e3. Just kind of, where are you going with that move? Tricky. Oh my god, I just hung my bishop with check. Where are you going with that move? Oh, that was a good start for today. Hung my... What? He didn't see it. This is so embarrassing. Mutual hallucination, my god. So embarrassing. To play f3. I just dropped the bishop with check and he didn't take it. Just really embarrassing. Honestly, here I'd like to centralize my queen, maybe trade his queen off. I thought he was like slow rolling me. Wow. He's going to lose on time. I'm not going to say GG because it wasn't. Chucky, the official World Rapid Champion. Sorry for the poor game at the end there. Kind of an interesting opening, though. I'll have to check that out after the stream. We obviously dropped a piece. Black could have taken it. But really the position was quite close if I don't make this insane blunder. Play f3 here, or anything, actually. I don't even need to play f3. I mean, h3. I have some compensation. It's not really quite enough. Ghost Mind challenging me to 7-3. Yeah, okay, let's talk about the chess world. Yeah, Ivanchuk managed to win yesterday in the World Rapid Championship. I finally said that. I kept saying, like, I was recording a video for a game yesterday for another website, chesslecture.com, and I was doing a game from the event, and I kept saying, like, European Rapid Championship or something. I had to keep re-recording this part of the video because I kept saying European. But it's the World Rapid Championship. It's a little hard to say World Rapid Championship. World Rapid Championship. Kind of like a tongue twister if you say it a lot of times really fast. But Ivanchuk led for a good chunk of the tournament toward the end until, well, Carlsen went crazy and started like winning all his games right at the end to catch up to the other leaders. Basically, to make a long story short, Ivanchuk, because he had been leading the tournament for so long, had amassed really, really good tie breaks. And so they went into the last round in a situation where basically Ivanchuk had to win to guarantee he'd tie for first, and he did so. But he had the best pairing in the last round, so what did he do? What is this? E6 and bishop b4. It's like, obviously a Scandinavian. It's like a sort of, it almost feels like a winnower French. Okay, I'm just spending way too much time on this position. Rock and Eagle. I can't believe you didn't see my bishop was hanging. I see passive. I mean, I know you don't expect it to be hanging, neither do I, but yeah, I was like, what does queen g4 do? I'll just play the move I intended to play anyway. One of my students yesterday showed me a game. He's like 1700. He showed me a tournament game where he was winning. He was up like 6 points of material, and then he hung like his whole queen. He just like checked the guy, king moved, and his queen was en prise to another guy's queen, and he's up like a rook of material in a normal tournament game with time on the clock, and he just like forgot his queen was there and hung it. It happens, but hopefully not too often. But usually I'm a little bit groggy in the first round, so the first round I was a little bit groggy. It takes me a while to get awake, and if you ever play in something like a blitz tournament, I strongly recommend you play some warm-up games like before you start the actual tournament. It's a really good idea. I used to play in Boston at a chess club, a regular weekly blitz tournament, and the best player who went every week, he would always insist that we play some warm-up games before the tournament starts. It's very, very good to get your brain kind of like functioning in that way that you need to. Playing the first game on the stream here is always, actually it was my second game, so there's only half an excuse. The first game I felt very groggy too. I have more energy at this morning time stream, but at the same time I'm a little slow to get up to speed. So if I can get an aggressive setup with castle and queenside, you know, normally I would consider it. It's just that with bishop takes c3, doubling my pawns and whatnot, I guess I can't really do that. So you expect Grishuk to win the blitz again. This should be interesting. Grishuk is multiple time champion in the blitz, right? Okay, so I don't think castling queenside is really right here. Fortunately, I have to castle kingside, which is not very dynamic. Thanks to bishop to b4. I mean, you could try to castle queenside, but it really looks like a dangerous thing to do. I imagine you don't have to get checkmated directly, but he can double the pawns, play knight d5, then like b5, knight a5, blockade. So we're just gonna develop like Morphy style here. Morphy Steinitz type approach. Just put the pieces on the obvious aggressive squares and go from there. So anyway, Ivanchuk managed to win in the last round. It was like, I forgot, it's like an Armenian player, I think. He was playing by far the weakest of the top three boards, the players on the top three boards. But obviously a player who had done well. Still, it was a golden pairing for Ivanchuk. Though he was black, he had to win with black. He got a better game and he managed to win opposite colored bishops and queens, where the other guy was really weak on the dark squares and he couldn't trade queens. So Ivanchuk had a huge time advantage. The time is just massive in this rapid chess. Massively important. This rapid chess. I guess we'll make way for my pieces here. We're not real well coordinated. The bishop on e3, kind of like a pawn. It's hard for black to get the queenside in the game. I may have to play a3 at some point to stop knight to b4. He could play it now, but I don't think his, he's not answering for this pin. I mean, it's a psychological thing with the mutual hallucinations. I've told the story before, how one time I played in this blitz tournament and my opponent was a really good friend of mine. And though we play seriously, sometimes we could joke around, and in the middle of the move, like, I realized one of my pieces was hanging, and I was sitting there praying that he doesn't see it, or there was a fork or some obvious tactic that was really easy to see, and he didn't see it and he made his move, and then I was like, it was my clock time, so I like showed him and I was like joking, and I said, haha, you could have like won a piece, I was just in a playful mood that day, and then I like went in to think, about some other feature of the position, and I got distracted and started thinking, and so I did it again, and he was like, he started laughing and he hammered down the move, just like forking my pieces again or whatever. It was ridiculous. You make a joke, you're like, look, you could have won a piece, and then the guy, like, you're laughing together, and then ridiculous. So yeah, I wanted to stop this because the knight is really interfering with the coordination of black's pieces. Knight on c6 blocking the c pawn. He blundered. So my other trick there was black plays b5 or b6 to try to fiend shadow the bishop, and I'll play bishop takes f6, bishop takes f6, queen e4, forking the mate here and the knight if the knight is hanging. So it's hard for black to develop his queen side. So he dropped a piece. He forgot about, I have bishop takes h7 check. And it's game over essentially. Not a lot of options. Got clear piece up. That should win the game. Alright. Online friends. You can watch Spinal Tap. Well, you guys can't see that, but Spinal Tap is playing. Oh boy. Yes. 95 is strong here. We have ideas of taking this. E7's not protected. Also, knight c4 could defend my b2 pawn, hit his queen. We've got everything is in order. Easy game. So, Wesley, what do you think? We just ignore the b2 pawn? Do we need to really take time out to protect that? Well, I think this is probably a strong move. All the pieces here coordinated for white. Black did not solve the development of the queen side. Typical problem in the Rubinstein French type position, which this was structurally. When he plays Scandinavian with e6 and queen on d8, we're basically looking at a Rubinstein French. And the biggest problem in the Rubinstein French is the fact that the bishop on c8 needs to get in the game, whether it's like bishop c8 to d7 or b6, something like that. Black will get checkmated here shortly. Rookies. Tactics. I feel the tactics problem coming on. Okay, I mean everything is good here. Knight takes f7. Rook takes f7. Looks good. Obviously, queen takes g6. Queen takes, rook takes f7, queen takes g6, threatening queen g8 mate. And queen takes h6, followed by queen takes h7 mate. So rook g7 followed by queen e8 and mate. This is a forced mate. Wesley, so I'm not, but it feels like it. Asi passes. One of my most embarrassing blunders when I was playing 300 points higher than you. You had at least one obvious mate in one, other ways to win. But instead I checked with an unexpected queen. Why is that not mate? Of course I had checked. The king couldn't move away anywhere. Only legal moves to take my queen. I remember this time I never did anything quite like that, but I had a game in the New York Open against the Hungarian GM, Tolnai Tibor, a long time ago. It was like 1992 or 1993. I think it was 1993 when I was, I don't know, I was like 21. I mean, Tibor was strong. He was a 2500 Grandmaster in his prime, and I was like a FIDE master or something. And I was having a good tournament, though. I was undefeated after like 4 rounds. Capsizer is challenging us. Do we have enough games? Yes, okay. Capsizer. So playing Tolnai, I was black, and I didn't know anything about him. Like, he's friends with Pereni Bela and all these really aggressive Hungarian players. He has a lot of theoretical knowledge. And also he plays the English attack, per any variation. They were really into the theory of the Sicilian, and I played a Scheveningen against Tolnai. I got a terrible position where I was under this massive threat, and he sacrifices a rook, but it doesn't quite work because he had much better. Or maybe the rook sacrifice worked, but his follow-up wasn't good. But basically, we got to this position where I was in time pressure, and I thought I had a forced win, actually. I didn't see it. A forced win, it was like simple back rank sequence, and I'm winning a piece or something, but I don't see that, and I think that I see a perpetual check. So basically, I don't play the winning move and play this other variation that's like forcing a perpetual check, but it wasn't perpetual check. It was like kind of reminded me of your story, Acid Passes. Like something's wrong here. It was really tragic. I played d6 here. Maybe c5 is a better move. It doesn't make that big a difference, I guess, but I think a little more dynamic-ish to play c5. I mean, that would give me the option to play d5 in the future in some positions. So I play d6 here. In other words, if I play c5 first and white makes a neutral move along the lines of like knight f3, I could play c takes d, or c takes d, e takes d, and d5, or maybe just d5 straight away. So I think that's my argument for like c5 being a better move. Play d5 in this position, quite unusual, because I haven't played c5. It's not locking the pawn structure. I can undermine this pawn structure with e6 or c6. This is quite rare. Isn't queen h6 faster than queen e8? No. It's the same, right? Isn't it the same? Like there's two inner positions. I guess queen h6 is faster, huh? Well, are you the guy who corrected me for my spelling on weird yesterday? Where is that guy? Alright, what do we do here? I think in general, when you do something like this, it depends on the position. If his pawn was on e4, perhaps e6 would be more interesting to open the e-file for me. But I think in general, attacking the pawn chain with the flank pawn on the side is more correct. Trading toward the center, as they say. Now he played e4, but he's lost valuable time. If you just wasted a lot of time here with black and didn't open the position or something, white could get a good game. But he's basically playing with a move less. One thing I'm thinking about is a6, b5, trying to undermine his pawn chain. He also has to watch the long diagonal. The queen a5, for example, looks a little too optimistic. With this move, we can also attack f2 in some lines. Unfortunately, e6 e6 looks suspicious. So he can play f3 to reinforce his e4 pawn. a6 and b5. Right, it's an interesting idea. I don't know. Queen h6 was one move faster. But you're not the guy who corrected my spelling yesterday, right? This is certainly not black's only way of playing the position. I could also just develop with knight a6, knight c5. It's funny, I see this position as kind of sort of Marazzi. White's playing a Marazzi with c4 and e4, as if this exchange has taken place and I'm playing the accelerated dragon again. Welcome, guys. Don't forget to check out my YouTube channel, Video Chess Training on YouTube. As the new year comes, I start getting some free time. We're going to be producing like instructive videos once a week, whether it's a replay or a review of maybe like some streams or some games from the weekly blitz, or every Sunday I'll be doing a simul on lichess, 6:30 p.m. every Sunday. Not this Sunday because of New Year's, but in the coming year, every Sunday we're going to be doing a simul on lichess for 20 to 25 players, as I did last year. Okay, Queen b3 starts to look. White has really gone too far. Looks like he's really gone too far this time. Provocative. It doesn't lose by force, but White is asking for it. I mean, we could possibly play b5 there, but now I've been drawn to a new plan. The problem is knight c5, queen c2. This almost works. It's almost a tactic here. I just don't see how I'm going to make it work. If I ever try to play queen a5, he has bishop d2 or even knight d2. Well, anyway, let's just play knight c5 and go from there. I suppose we could try e6 at some point. Now. But if we look at the variation like queen c2, e6, he can probably take on e6 and castle queenside. I wanted to play knight takes e4, but it's just not going to work. So I don't know what to do now. Maybe b5 now? Certainly interesting. Wait, let's try it. I don't have any other ideas. I don't know what else to do. Capsizer. Relatively few games. 1600. Yeah, that's the best move. Now, I'm not sure I had the right idea here. I'm not sure what my idea was. I guess this isn't really right. Oh, man. Queen a5 doesn't help, does it? I guess I just sacrificed the pawn. I don't know what I sacrificed it for, though. Knight takes e4. b4. It's not exactly a pawn sacrifice. I play b4, I take on e4. I think I have to do this. This is the only way. This was my original idea, if you want to call it that. It's a very scary pawn I'm leaving with here on c6, so it's not so easy. I guess we could play either e6, but e6, we should really take this pawn first. I wouldn't mind sacrificing the exchange or something like that, like c7, queen d7, knight b6, queen c6, knight takes a8, queen takes a8, and black has pretty good compensation. You can trap the knight in the corner, his pawn will be weak, we have great pieces. So maybe this was sound. It's just not my... It's a little too chaotic for my... A little too chaotic for my normal everyday game, but we have some compensation. e6. Or what else? Maybe bishop f5. That's a bit more natural than playing e6, isn't it? I don't want to block this bishop in if I can help it. Queen is pretty dubious. Good morning, Catapus. With queen a5, I don't think queen a5 really did a whole lot. AJK, I don't think queen a5 ever really had much effect, other than probably forcing him to play a good move. Now we should really have a massive initiative here. Maybe queen a5 is starting to look like an interesting move. What do we do now? Rook c8? How about a simple move like rook c8? He can still castle queenside if you want to. It looks a little sketchy. It's kind of a risky move, rook c8, actually, because I wasn't realizing he's got some ideas to take there. I mean, here I really don't mind sacrificing exchange. I could play anything, but this is much clearer. Just to sack the exchange and play with great compensation. I could play something else, but queen e8 was my original idea. It's very convoluted. So... You guys ever notice how Hikaru, like, he's always done this since he was a little kid. He like squints his eyes real hard, like he's got a confused face. When he's thinking, he always has the confused face. going on. Yeah, I don't think I should trade pieces around here. We have discoveries though, like knight d3 check followed by knight takes f2 is possible. I don't want to let him get off the hook as far as e5 does block my bishop, but I don't really want to. Ooh, he took that way. Huh. Now what do I do? The tough answer. Knight takes d3. Tough question, tough answer. An idiot. Man, I don't know. That's an awkward move. An awkward move to have to meet. Capsize are putting up quite the fight. Unfortunately, I don't think I can do what I wanted to do there. Bishop check, knight f2 check, and take. Man. At least he can't castle queenside. Queen c2. Wow. Okay. I just made a move, but it didn't let me. Capsizer's faster than me, too. Perhaps I should have played d5 last move. It's always... Finally. We caught a break. Finally he made a blunder. 25 moves, no blunders, Capsizer. Not bad. 1 in 25. Feel lucky to win that game. That was pretty dodgy. I don't think that b5 was correct for me. Loca Pit. I don't remember. Did we play Loca Pit before? I don't think so. Oh, we did. When was this game? I don't recall this position. This must have been... Oh, this was a simul. A long time ago. Time got me in the end. After those nasty IMs, would you consider yourself a tactical or positional player? Fresh kid, that depends on who you ask. No, me, I try to be objective. I think that I'm kind of in the middle somewhere, honestly. Because, and I know that because maybe I lean on the positional side a little bit more compared to the average player. But at the same time, I am very resourceful. I have pretty good... When I'm not like hanging pieces, I have pretty good tactical vision when I need it. But I think that I'm in the middle of the curve there, because I talk to people who are like really specialist, either tacticians or positional players about me, and if you ask a really strong positional grandmaster, what do you think of him, he would say, oh, he's like a cheap tactician, tricky player. If you talk to a really strong tactician, they would say, oh yeah, he's a strategic player. He sucks tactically. So it's Yeah, it's really... I think that I don't really have a clear... It really depends on who you who you talk to. I'm kind of in the middle. Interesting, Lokapit. I have to say that we haven't had... I don't remember ever playing an open Lopez on the stream, so this is pretty cool. That is cool. I really don't think in I don't know how many games we've played an open Lopez. It's funny. I mean, it's not an opening that's really popular club level players. A lot of masters like to play the open Lopez. They've seen games by Uwe or Korchnoi or whoever, but it's not as commonly picked up. I had a friend from Boston, FIDE Master Paul McIntyre. He used to play the open Lopez all the time. I played a number of Grandmasters. With white in the Lopez, open Lopez. Once I beat Gennady Sagalchik in the US Championship. I know that C3 is the main line here, but there are a lot of moves. Queen E2. I don't know the theory about Queen E2 really, but I figured we'll just play it. The stream has got too much delay. Oh, there's something wrong there. What's the deal? Well, I don't know why the stream is back on the previous part. I think you just need to refresh the stream if... sometimes Twitch does some strange stuff. So if you feel like there's too much delay or something weird's going on, I just had a really strange position on my board from a previous game. Just refresh the Twitch stream. I never played this line. I've played Knight BD2, I've played C3, and I know that Bishop E3 is another variation. It seems odd for black to play Bishop E6 and then Bishop G4. But once again, I'm not really familiar with this. I just decided on a lark to play Queen E2 in the moment. Now, if you ask me, I don't remember where this move originated. It's kind of like probably the fourth most popular move in this position. But it is amazing to think that I've probably played like 70 Roy Lopez or Spanish games here on my stream, and I don't think that I've had one open Roy Lopez. Everybody plays either the closed variation or maybe some kind of... Yeah, well, the Marshall is actually a closed Lopez. So... not a trendy, not a trendy line, obviously. I guess black has just lost here. Caught him off guard. We caught Lokapit off guard. So, I mean, queen takes f3, knight takes e5. Could play anything. I could play like queen f5, queen h5. But also just pawn takes. Doesn't look like there's any defense for black here. It looks pretty gruesome, actually. I mean, the entire white square complex just falls apart. I don't know what the theory is, but I know that bishop g4 doesn't seem like the right idea. What can he do? After queen e2... I can't remember. I mean, I've never seriously studied this, so I've only seen like 1 or 2 games offhand. So bishop takes f3, g takes f. There it is. There is a little delay. Quite a bit of delay, actually. But it's not that bad. I think it's just lag, though. There really shouldn't be a great delay of more than a few seconds. Check my settings. Yeah, it's just, I think it's just lag. My ping on lichess is okay, so it's not really general lag. Yeah, d5 and all the white squares just fall apart. Of course, it's tragic for black. I'm gonna have to look this up. Queen e2. I mean, this is the whole idea, to play rook d1. I guess you can play bishop c5, physically preventing rook d1, right? That would seem like the logical thing to do. But the point is, rook d1, bishop c5, bishop e3. I don't remember where I saw this recently. Maybe in Karpov. Kasparov talks about Karpov in his series, My Great Predecessors. He devoted a good chunk of, well, one of the entire books basically, to Karpov and Korchnoi. And I was thinking, like, where did I see this recently? It had to be, the only place I could have seen this was the defensive move, protecting f3. The only place I could have seen this was in Kasparov's book discussing Karpov and Korchnoi. Come to think of it, wasn't that long ago that this queen e2 move was brought to my attention, and it had to be in regards to the Karpov-Korchnoi matches. Okay, so you learn something new every day. Cesso Turco. Spinal Tap is on. He hasn't joined us here in the chat. My ping is okay. It's pretty much typically what I get. Fresh Kid said there's a 10 or 15 second delay. I have a setting, on my Twitch setting, which is like 2 seconds delay on my end. But I mean, I guess there's naturally going to be more delay depending on Twitch. So, Cesso Turco. I played the Sicilian. Let's switch it up. Guys, I was watching yesterday the beginning of like the last round or one of the last rounds, not the last round. I think one of the later rounds in the World Rapid Championship. I mean, if you're playing the black pieces against Peter Peter, would you play the Caro Khan? I mean, if you're a higher rated player, I don't understand Hikaru's like opening repertoire at all. Like he plays stuff like the Queen's Gambit Declined and the Caro Khan. I talked about this before, but it just seems to me that Hikaru continues to play openings that don't suit his style. And I guess he wanted to prove a point at some moment, at some point he wanted to prove that he's not just a tactical blitz player. He can play really well, positionally too. But still, when you're that gifted in tactics and calculation, it doesn't really make sense to me to play the Caro-Kann against Leko Peter. This is a guy who, he's a world-class player, but he's not near his peak anymore, for whatever reasons. But still, Nakamura's got to be a favorite in a rapid game against Leko, so he's got to try to create some kind of dynamic game. It was like, that seems like a stupid idea, really. For a weaker player to play the Caro-Kann against Leko's fine, but why would you play the Caro-Kann as Hikaru Nakamura? Just seems like a bad decision. You're never going to beat Leko. Maybe on time, Maybe on time he could beat him. I was thinking, I don't know what happened in that game. Does anybody know? Probably draw, right? It's Leko, so it had to be a draw. The Queen's Gambit declined. You're like one of the most gifted tactical players on the planet, and your repertoire is like the Caro-Kann and the Queen's Gambit declined with black. Doesn't make a lot of sense. The Caro-Kann is all about tactics. If you want to win, play the Caro-Kann. Yeah, if you want to win against a maniac or something like that, if you're playing Morozevich, it's fine to play the Caro-Kann for a win, but you're not doing that against Leko, who's like, how much he likes to draw. He's not going to take any risks. It's just hopeless. It's absolutely fine against a provocative player to play it but against somebody like that, you're crazy. You got to do something else. All right, what would Spinal Tap, International Master Spinal Tap, play here? Knight D2. It's well, it's basically a kind of weird sort of this could be several different openings. This could actually be a London system, a kind of London system where I exchanged on D4. Play Queen B6 here. I have played like this. Queen B6, double attacking B2 and D4. If White can play some sort of pawn sacrifice, Knight B3 looks almost forced. I was thinking about Bishop F5. Up-and-comer says, maybe the Caro-Kann was drawish in the 60s to 90s, but it's a different thing now. Up-and-comer, I don't think I agree with that. There are some positions that are really, really weird. Like the advanced variation where black is doing stupid things like H6 and G5 lately, but I don't know. I don't think the fundamentals of the opening have changed in the last 20 years. It's basically a solid defense for black. The fashions change, but the fundamental, level of dynamism of the opening didn't change. Top grandmasters don't play the Caro-Kann for a win. There are some crazy positions, but mostly they're instigated by white. A3. It's a really harmless move. Okay, we've got our bishop outside the pawn chain. We just play like it's Slav or something. If white wants to draw in the main line of the Caro-Kann, it's absolutely almost forced. There's no way that Peter Leko is going to lose if he plays like knight c3, d takes e4, knight takes e4, bishop f5, knight g3. If he loses on time, like, that's, you don't understand. These positions where black is getting interesting positions are played by players with white trying to do crazy stuff, playing the advanced variation or whatever. If white doesn't do something like that, there's no way you're playing for a win with black under any circumstances. I don't care if you're Maxime or anybody else. Don't seem to understand what I'm saying. You know, white has to cooperate and play very, very dynamically for black to have winning chances in the Caro-Kann. If he doesn't play dynamically, just keeps a solid position. It's not a good choice for a player like that. Not optimal. Of course, the Sicilian's better, or even double king pawn. Caro plays other stuff. I don't agree with the Caro-Kann being a good choice for him. Now, knight e5, I walked into this. I have to play queen c8 here, or rook c8. Rook c8, knight takes, b takes, bishop a6. Queen b6. This may be easier. It just doesn't seem like white should have some kind of super aggressive possibilities here after moves like a3. Now he's going sharp with knight e5, and maybe he'll try g4 or something. But it doesn't seem... The Caro-Kann guy's first name is actually Marcus. Marcus. Caro-Kann. Well, Caro is two people, Caro and Khan. Yes. He's like, oh no. But, you know, I mean, b4. Honestly, I don't understand a3. This is a very mysterious move for me. Okay, he's scared of knight to b4. Is that really a threat? I mean, you always have bishop b5 check. I think this is a little paranoid. Okay, it's an unusual situation, but obviously he should have played... You could have played like bishop b5 straight away without a3, and there's no knight b4, of course. So, I mean, c6 on move 1 is fundamentally a passive move for black, like e6 is as well. c5 and e5 are much more aggressive. So we're headed back, defending this pawn. Maybe I should just play rook c8. Keep my queen on an active square here. That does seem... That seems a little more... I was going to say seems a little more useful, but there's something... This queen e2... Objectively, that's nothing. Okay. Anyway, I'm just wasting time. Fate, I agree. When I really completely need to win as black, I go for g6. That's not an option at the very highest level. Well, I think that anything's an option. I mean, Carlsen has played Alekhine's defense with knight g8 in some games. I mean, the modern is certainly an option. It's not easy to play. It's obviously pretty risky for black, but I think a lot of people agree with you, Fate. g6 is a good way for black to try to win at all cost. Rook c1. Queen is a little short of squares here, but it's no problem. I can play queen b6. He doesn't have a way to trap my queen. I didn't want to leave my king in the center for too long, but now he has maybe c4, c3, castles. A lot of options. Black's obviously clearly better. Pawn up. Not very much compensation. And the white's pawn structure remains pretty weak. These pawns look quite weak. Fresh horse. Well, my old enemy Alexander Ivanov had the classic three-pronged repertoire where he would play, if you were a fish, he would play g6 against you. If you were like a medium strength player, he would play against e4 g6, against the weak players, c5 against the intermediate, like IMs and other GMs, he plays e4, e5. So his entire repertoire is based on your approximate strength, you know. It's a reasonable way to do it, I think. Obviously, you have to mix and match when you start to play people many games, but g6 is a really good opening for beating weaker players. There's not as much, the theory isn't as clearly mapped out as other openings. There's a lot more room for innovation. Queen is almost trapped here. Just need to cut off one more square, Senor Turco. But how are you going to get me on b2? No knight d3. I can get out on d4. Or just take it. Spinal Tap. What do you think about the Caro-Kann as an opening to play for a win? You play the Caro-Kann, so what? How would you like your chances of winning against Peter Leko with the black pieces in the Caro-Kann? Let's just take... I'm up a clear pawn here. Maybe 2. Or rook. Okay, next game. Yeah, Spinal Tap is on the list. He's gonna make it today. Uh-oh. It could be the encore event of the week. He just finished a Chessable book on the Caro, actually. I want to move twice. Fresh kid. Only $9.99 for a limited time. You should sell them on ICC for like $100 alongside like Susan Polgar's bundle for $250. The idea is just to find one sucker, you know, and then you can not have to sell 25. Just find one person stupid enough to buy something for like $200, and then you don't have to bother like finding 25 people to buy your product. Bishop G7. Fresh kid. Okay, I'm not that up on my theory, so C takes D I used to play when I actually knew openings, but we rely on our technique now in our old age. You can win with the Caro-Kann if you're not playing Leko Peter. I think people appreciate how hard it is to beat Leko. With the black pieces in the Caro-Kann. Just started to learn the Accelerated Dragon versus E4. Yeah. We play a lot of Accelerated Dragon. Just don't expect to win when White plays the Marazzi bind. Prepare yourself for a draw. Just try to draw and then, you know, get a draw in hand if you're facing the Marazzi, and hope they overpress or overextend themselves. We had this discussion with Spinal Tap here the other day. He said he stopped playing the Accelerated Dragon because of the Marazzi. I've definitely gone through that phase. And I still have... I would have trouble beating anybody in the black side of the Marazzi, actually. The complete Polgar collection. Only $250. Why are they asking so little? I mean, that's practically like giving it away. I should run out and buy a few copies for friends. I think it's the same here with the organizer of the first Saturday GM tournaments. Doesn't seem to understand like the law of like supply and demand. Like if you can't sell enough of something, you should lower the price. It's kind of fundamental economic theory. But he thinks that if he has less customers, he needs to charge more because, you know, to make up for those customers he doesn't have. Doesn't understand the, you know, Western capitalist economic system very well. E6. Okay, fresh kid. It's I mean, this position actually looks pretty similar to some of the more main lines. I always feel a little bit wary about committing myself to this major step of playing E4 in the E3 Grunfeld. But we're going to go for it. Am I a bad person for strongly disliking Susan Polgar? Well, let's just say you won't be lonely in hell. E4. We are going to try to make use of the central passed pawn. There's always like h4, h5 type ideas. Now, Fresh Kid decided to play knight c6, which means that there may be some ideas of knight a5 sometimes, because oftentimes we see knight d7 in this type of structure. Svidler has shown a proclivity for liking to do that type of thing, like knight d7 and knight f6. Maybe keeping the king side a little more well protected and putting pressure on the e4 pawn. Which rook? Which rook do we use? I don't think, there's any allegiance to any particular. There's one thing. People like that are allegiant to financial gain, but I'm not sure anyone's truly allegiant to like FIDE. It's just about chasing personal profit. Now, rook on a to d1. No, I don't really like anybody who like exploits the game of chess for their own personal gain. That's why I'm not charging $100 an hour for chess lessons. Queen c7. Well, having played rook on a to d1 now would be kind of silly to go back to rook c1. Speaking of chess lessons, if anybody's interested in reasonably priced chess lessons, contact Spinal Tap. No, I'm just kidding. Contact me. You can send me an email, videochesstrainer at gmail.com. And you get your money's worth, I promise. So queen c7. Now, this is a normal Grunfeld type of move. I really feel like maybe I moved the wrong rook. I should have played rook on f to d1. That's much more usual in this type of position where like the c file is open and the other rook protects d4. Now I feel a little concerned about my bishop on c4 being unprotected. I guess I can play d5, but I'm worried about knight a5. That obviously wouldn't be an issue had I played rook to c1. And then there's variations like bishop d3, knight b4, bishop b1, bishop a6, winning the exchange. It's also another good point of leaving the rook on f1. I can actually get it captured by a bishop coming from a6. So, alright. I don't want to do this, but I mean, we could play what? Some lame move like a3. Nah. I don't like this move, but I'm running out of ideas. There's nothing wrong with trying to make a reasonable profit if you're a professional chess player, but when it's your only goal, and it's obvious and everybody sees that, and you've cheated a lot of people and hurt people, and it's not the same, you know. It's trying to procure a personal profit within reason for yourself. Queen b7. Good square, controlling the diagonal. But anyway, I'm not here to... Far be it for me to spend my time wasting my breath criticizing others. Live and let live. We try to get some counterplay on the king side with h4, h5. Chesto Turco, how do you too much? How do you make a plan for a specific player? Homework, articles, game analysis. Chesto Turco, feel free to send me a message here on lichess or on my email videochesstrainer@gmail.com, because we could discuss it in more detail. I mean, I definitely teach everyone specifically based on their personalized needs. I don't have pre-planned lessons that I give out. H5 is not the kind of pawn you want to capture. This would really break up black's king side. Blue Barless, so I live in Hungary. Yeah, it's only in the summertime. I don't know if you ever saw my stream before, but you might have seen me streaming in the summertime when I was in the US. I don't want to go there because it allows queen a6. Can we check black? Check black. Can we checkmate black with the primitive transfer of queen and knight g5? Now you've seen my plans. No, as a professional chess teacher, I do, however, make it my business when I think that other professionals are overcharging or undercharging for training or products or whatever. So, I mean, they make a bad name for everyone. That is my business. I don't want to criticize anyone personally, but we have to respect the whole profession. I don't know what to do here. Queen there, queen there, queen there. I don't see how this is going to work. I live in Budapest. You played in the first Saturday tournament there. Well, as I was talking about, like, Laszlo has a very interesting pricing mechanism where he doesn't seem to understand that he should probably charge less so he can get more customers. Because this tournaments here have really gone downhill. The first Saturday just doesn't have enough players. Rarely there's like a GM tournament now. The prices are really expensive. It's usually still a pretty good event, but I can't really can't really recommend it at this time. I mean, Budapest is a cool place in general. If you've got the money, I would play, but there was a time when the tournaments were much better, much better than they are now. More players, more sections, and not quite as expensive. Back in the day, you needed a round-robin norm to make IM and GM titles, so it made a lot of sense for this tournament series to exist. But now, FIDE's done away with that, like so many other great things. Okay, where am I going here? B5 was a good move, getting the queenside majority rolling, and King F8 though. I played King F1, but both moves are a bit risky with the queen still on the board. If there's a lot of content, there should be a lot of demand, arguably. Content is good. I'm not better here. John Watson talks about this in his book about chess strategy. Can we go for it? No. Damn it. I think I better take some kind of drastic measures here before it gets too late. This bishop is a nasty piece. I'm regretting playing king f1. I don't know. Now my king is vulnerable to checks on b5, a6. This was basically a mouse slip. I thought I was putting the queen back on its original square, but not. Alright, well, we'll make do. I picked up the queen and I was like putting it on b2, and then I was like, nah, I'll put it back. Good game by Fresh Kid. Fresh Kid's pretty strong. He doesn't play bullet or blitz. He doesn't play much rated games at all, actually. I don't know how strong he is. I don't think he ever... Maybe he did mention it once. But he has played well in my simuls. Link of my page. Well, I don't have a page. Maybe that's where the confusion lies. I mean, I don't have a web page. I just I stream here on Twitch. I also make videos on YouTube, but I don't have my own web page. It's kind of passé. Man, this guy is taking me out. Just kidding. We don't have our own webpage. I guess we should do that at some point, but I'm not that into self-promotion. It's kind of thought for the day. What's up now? Alright, do your worst, Senor Fresh Kid. Self-promotion. I have to do some self-promotion, but it's painful. Honestly, I don't like saying... "14 seconds. Yeah, so anyway, speaking of John Watson, I never really finished my thought. He talks about a very important concept that's not really covered in a lot of chess literature. This queenside majority, the way it was kind of dormant in the middle game. So Watson's argument is that, like, what's going on here? So Watson's argument is basically... Am I going to get out of the checks? It's like tricking myself. I don't think I can get out of these checks. If I go to g3, if I go to g1, it's an automatic repetition. F3 doesn't get out of checks. If g3, the queen e3 or queen e1, maybe I could get out of the checks somehow. King g3, and then king g4. I don't think this is possible to get out of checks here. I'd be very surprised. Yeah, computer says it's a draw. He was winning before, probably before he let my queen and knight get in there. All right, back to the stream. We have 2 games left. Spinal Tap is gonna be the premier event of the day. Well, Queen C3 made 47 was a very important variation in that I'm winning that pawn with my king, and his knight's in a passive position on E7, so it wasn't actually, depending on where my king was, as long as my king is in the square of the pawn, I think that's a drawn knight ending, probably. That was one thing that could have happened a little bit earlier. He could have traded queens, but I do win the pawn, and I don't think it should be winning for black. If I'm far away on g3 or something, yeah, he has queen c3 check. Okay, then I'm lost. I'm probably lost. I guess if he had queen c3 check, I can't play king g3 because of queen c3, and he wins. So thanks for not mentioning it. Or thanks for mentioning it. Excuse me. First draw in a blitz game. You always get black. Well, not always. In the blitz games, maybe. I recall you playing white against me, some simul games. So, alright, 2 games left. We've got just enough time. Yeah, there was a classic Grunfeld. I doubt that I was ever seriously better. Maybe a tiny bit. But it all came unglued when I put my rook on a to d1, I think. Maybe I have to place the rooks on c1 and d1 if I want to have an advantage with white in that position. I'm sure there were better ways to play than I played it, but I shouldn't have almost lost, probably, if I play well from the middle game onward. We came very close to losing. So Salty Ego has an ongoing correspondence game with me where I just lost the pawn in the opening in a very, very stupid way. Looks like that's gonna be his first victory. He's got a half out of 19, but he's gonna take me out. He's gonna take me out in the... Now let's try something provocative here. I played this against somebody else a few weeks ago, and they played this totally... How was it again? I think... No, I don't remember now how it went. But this is... I'm not sure about e5 after queen f3. My last opponent played something weird with bishop g4 fairly early, which is also a bit strange. The late great Emery Tate, he liked to play queen f3. In those days, in the 90s, when Tate was playing this, there wasn't really a lot of known theory. Now if we look, everything's been tried. I mean, rook g1 is a move that was pretty popular for a while. We're running out of ideas, so even these really radical moves like queen f3, rook g1, I mean, pretty much everything's been tried against the Najdorf. and against all major variations. It's like, well, it's the very much improved Perenni variation of the Najdorf. Yeah, Fresh Kid, you thought I could escape with King G3, but I think one of the viewers was pointing out the Queen C3 check. If depending on where your queen is, that would be like a winning king and pawn ending for black, or knight and pawn ending. Yeah, the end was a draw. Obviously, I was very fortunate because I lost the pawn for basically... Well, first of all, you have a queenside majority. That's giving you the advantage, and I'm fighting for a draw. And then secondly, I basically, like, mouse slipped, almost. It was more like a mind slip. It was kind of like an inadvertent mouse slip. I meant to play queen d2, but thought I was putting my queen back on its original square. Bishop e6, okay. So we'll just keep, like, thematically fighting for control of d5 here with bg5. Everything about White's position is geared toward controlling d5. This is the most important square in the Sicilian defense. This is obviously very, very noticeable in things like the Sveshnikov, but also in the Najdorf, because black often does play e5. If black manages to get in d5 in the Najdorf, usually he equalizes the game at the very least. e6 or go home. Well, the variation that I played against Fresh Kid isn't exactly like some kind of critical opening theory. Anytime I play e3, it's not really it's not a dangerous variation for black. Okay, so h6. It's tempting to play something like bishop to e3, but honestly, should I do that, there's the possibility of black playing g6, kicking my knight out with no good place to go. The knight really would like to fall back. It would like to fall back on e3. So I'm in a bit of a quandary here. Obviously, I can play bishop h4. And that could be the best move. I have to calculate bishop h4, g5. Bishop g3 with a dramatically strangely placed bishop on g3. And something like, what does black do next? Black's really weak in the position. My bishop is really bad, but he's also drastically weakened his king side. Hey, let's try it. It's feeling thematic. I'm going to have a really interesting bishop on g3 if this goes down. But he would perhaps not enjoy his king side weaknesses after g5. I don't know. So Katip says, why do you afraid to take? Well, taking is okay. My problem with that position is that after I take and he takes with the queen, I guess I could just castle queenside. No. Bishop takes f6, queen takes f6. I was looking at knight e3, but I should just castle queenside. He has queen g5 check then. King b1. I mean, Catapus is probably right, but I don't know that this is bad for white either. Maybe simpler taking. I don't like trading pieces in general when I have an option, but h4 now looks quite interesting. But I agree, it would have been much more simple to do it that way. Now rook d1. Knight e3. Yeah, I should have taken his advice and played it that way. Now it's very complicated. A lot of pawn moves for black. I think I can afford to play a3 here. Yeah, I mean, Up and Comer kind of had the general gist of it, that I didn't really like later playing knight e3 and allowing queen takes f3, g takes f3, but in reality he can't play g6, so I'm not sure there that Catapus wasn't right. I probably should exchange and allow that. Okay, knight e3 now. Can I go back? Maybe. Keep d5 under control. I definitely gave black way too much here. So it would have been better taking on f6, definitely. Sometimes simpler is better. I agree. Just bishop takes f6, queen takes f6, rook d1, or maybe rook d1. If bishop takes f5, pawn takes f5. White is much better, but it's not a win. Not a win, but black is worse. Yeah. Okay, last game is after this. Whoever that might be. My queen is misplaced on f3 a little bit. I mean, I'm kind of tempted to bring it back. Part of me wants to put the knight back on f5. I guess I have a decent game here. Now he's defended f6 though, so he can move his queen. h4 doesn't really do anything. Rook d1 allows, my god, I lose everything if rook d1. I almost played that, seriously. That's why I'm talking about bringing my queen back. I almost played rook d1, trapping my own queen. I'd have to sack the exchange on d4. I'd lose a full rook if I played that. It's ridiculous. Always check before you make your final decision. You're not losing a lot of material. I mean, some people might think this is clear. I mean, I think the black could even sacrifice a piece in some lines. Knight takes e4, knight takes e4, f5. I probably have something there, but these sacrifices are kind of looming, like knight takes e4, knight takes e4, d5, knight d2. Have to watch out. What do I do there? After knight takes e4, knight takes e4, d5, he's not like winning a piece back? I don't think there's anything simple about this position. I guess I could sacrifice the piece back. You know, that would probably be the most sound thing to do. Knight takes e4, knight takes e4, d5, bishop d3, with some small positional advantage for white. Maybe it's good for me. Rook b8. Different concept. Wow. Bishop d3. Interfering with my queen. Seems like a good move, right? Blocking my control of d5. Knight d5 drops a pawn. Any other suggestions? Just bishop e2. Extremely tense position. This is a totally lame move, but I don't know what to play. And nothing appeals to me here. h5. I'm not sure I like that move for black. I can play either h4 or h3. This move to me, that looks like black might be going a little too far. I mean, then you're going to have kind of long-term questions to answer here. I mean, there's no going back after that. Unlikely black will castle kingside. He's just kind of randomly taking space. But I think you're making a lot of weaknesses. So we have a lot of options now. g4, is this a threat? Maybe bishop g4. Damn, he moves. Yeah, it's going south for black now. The squares. It's not over, but it's over. Oh, I see. Look at this move, queen c5. Should I play b4? Putting my pawn on the wrong color. Castles, knight takes c2, bishop g1, b4. Queen c5, what a resourceful move. I don't like fixing my pawns on the wrong color here. It seemed like the lesser of the evils. Guess I'm just sacrificing a pawn. And he's very fast, too. Oh my god. More tactics. Why did I just... Well, there was some counterplay. This is a monstrously long game. Alright, I am Spinal Tap. Last game today. I'm black. Karo Khan. He's 1500, my god. He probably went to sleep or something. Played d4. Yeah, there was... I remember once a long time ago I had a BOGO. Can't play the BOGO. I hate the BOGO. Alright, what are we gonna do here? I don't think in lichess like your time should be allowed to just... I think your clock should start running on the first move. When you're black, when white moves there. What do you guys think about that? What are we gonna do? Black, yeah. Again. Oh, the Nimzo. He's like an expert, isn't he? Did he write a DVD about that? What else can I do though? I'm stuck. I have to play the Nimzo. Oh, I think we had a classical Nimzo a long time ago in Blitz or something. I remember him playing Queen C2 against me in a Blitz game many, many years ago. I don't remember where that was. On another chess site, probably. So, good luck, Senor Spinal Tap. Uh-oh. Oh no, 92. I would have played c5 if I had known you were going to play 92 here. This is awkward for black. Not a variation. I really like playing with black. It's too late for c5 now. We'll do the Michael Road. Spinal Tap, have you ever played this line against Michael Road? Possible, right? You could have played him. Bishop f8. I'm going to go home. The go home variation. And you know that I should have played the King's Indian. Objectively, this is not the standard way of playing the Nimzo Indian defense, but I don't really like giving up my bishop. Maybe I should choose a different opening. And I was hoping he would play something like a3 on move 5 and let me double his pawns. You know, when he doesn't do that, I'm inclined to keep my dark squared bishop. If it was a rated game, you would see it on Chess TV. Exactly. It's no rated games, I guess, on lichess TV. So this is just a casual game. We don't want a lot of attention. I remember the first time I saw Rode play this, I thought, oh man, that's a crazy idea. But subsequently, I mean, I'm sure that as I said earlier, now in the information era, there's like not that many new ideas to come up with. So I would think a system like this would probably have a lot of games by now. Like a really solidly established body of theory, as they say. E4 right away. Why not? Looks like he's gonna try to kill me straight away. Why not? Now E5 does seem like a threat, doesn't it? You guys would agree, right? This is a threat. That is hands down definitely a threat. So it turns into some kind of weird King's Indian. We just change our mindset. This is not the Nimza. We're playing a very strange form of King's Indian defense here. It's morphed. No Nimzo Indian against Spinal Tap. I should have played the King's Indian right away, but I tricked him. See, it was all a deep plan to trick him out of playing his like prepared, anti-King's Indian type of stuff. Queen takes c3, winning a piece. Well, you had queen takes c3, winning a piece? I just gave you that? I didn't see that? I played b4. And then what did I do? Like castle and just allow you to play queen takes c3? Oh, that's moronic. Wow. That was intelligent of me. I mean, I saw queen takes c3, but then I was like, somehow in my mind, it doesn't make sense. I saw it, but I let you play it anyway. And you didn't see it. Great game. But I thought you played it pretty well, actually. Keeping a lot of tension in the position. Knight g3 now. Okay, what's this? It's the King's Indian. With a3. Alright. It's all good. It's the knight e2, knight g3. What was the name? There was this guy from the Hamilton Chess Club, Spinal Tap. James Gwynn. Do you remember him? Or did he die before you started to play? Probably. James Gwynn used to play knight e2. What's that called? The knight e2, knight g3 variation of the King's Indian. Well, I haven't played g6. It doesn't mean I have to play g6, right? But otherwise, how do I get any counterplay around here? Keep the knight off of f5. c6 Wizard Dragon is an idea. It's a classic concept. It is definitely the other main candidate move in this position other than g6. I agree. Played bishop e2. h5. I think we should go for it. This move's pretty ambitious, but it's kind of a classic situation. My bishop might actually be benefiting me, being on f8 rather than g7, because it can go to e7 and maybe like break a pin, attack the h4 pawn. So that could be beneficial. He played h3. He didn't want to play h4. I can understand that. What's the plan after h3? Should I play like a5 here? Bishop e3 he's going to play next. h4, knight f1. The knight recirculates. He's got more time than me. If I play a5, knight a6, he has b4. I think you should castle. Bishop e3, keeping his options open. Whatever. Okay. I'm a little short of space here. His knight on g3 is questionably placed, though. I don't want any visitors. On b5. So he goes with knight f1 right away. Aha. Logical. Logical move. Alright. I think the b5 was kind of necessary for me. He's playing very positional kind of Petrosian setup. I would say white's a little better. I mean, he's got the center and now b4. So he hasn't sorted out the king side. Knight h7 and bishop g5 to trade his guy. What about knight d7? Knight fd7. You can also play rook f8. That's not a good move. Alright, whatever. I need to think of something quick here. We've got time pressure approaching. It's like he's positionally better. Play knight b3. I was a little concerned about a4 last move. I thought maybe that was a bit better. I should play bishop d7. Not the most natural move, bishop d7. I don't have an attack and he has an advantage on the queen side. This looks very difficult for black. Okay. On the other hand, it's not that easy for him to kill me here. What's like the plan? I'd rather not trade queens. He's better in this ending. I looked at queen h4. That doesn't do anything. a4, of course. Difficult to find a plan for black. Rook b8's no good. h4 allows bishop g4. The problem was there was no other good square for my queen. Queen f4. Queen f4 trading queens. There goes my mouse. He's been really smart not to castle. And anyway, he could castle kingside. I don't have an attack. So he could actually castle kingside. Okay, we need to think. Rook b8, knight c6. Pretty difficult situation here. Kind of positionally screwed. What to do? Facing Petrosian. So you guys tell me, am I more positional or tactical? I'm about to lose on time. Oh, that's a good move. Thank you. Let me play Queen F4 at least. Thank you. Before I resign, let's at least not lose by a mouse slip. Queen. Queen F3. Good move. This is lost. No, good game, Spinal Tap. Maybe I can swindle him somehow. I don't think so. There is no move. I'm almost in like Zugzwang here. I think this is... That's the move, sir. That's the move that I wanted to resign because of. Alright. If you guys were wondering why I wanted to resign, that was it. The problem is if he took queen takes queen, it opens up counterplay for me. So that's why he played knight c4 right away. But knight c4 has some drawbacks too. So I'm still breathing here in critical condition. Black's position is not good. Whoa, I almost lost on time. He's got a 2-minute time advantage. I'm sure he can screw this up. Just get him into a situation where he has to find the mate in 2, and he's like hopeless. Wow, rook e1, the most indecisive move ever. Yes. Man, don't let me lose on time. Come on, it's not fun. I don't want to just lose on time. That's a really, really lame way to lose. What? I was dropping everything. Well, maybe not. He has a draw by repetition, it looks like. I can see he has a draw. He's definitely going to go for it. What's he doing? He's gonna mate me? All his pieces are hanging. I'm forking 4 pieces simultaneously. Where's the mate? You only have 3 pieces hanging now. What? Rook c1. Why did I play queen f4? I'm up the exchange, I forgot. Okay. Totally forgot I was up the exchange. Maybe he's better here. I offered him a draw. It is going to be kind of tough to unpin. Let's play it out. Oligas. What would Oligas do? That's it. Let's see if we get to 100 blues. Nice game. Alright. Oh, it was bad. That was bad. That was very bad. Alright, man. Anyway, you deserve to win. But, maybe I was winning before. It was a perfect game. Yeah, definitely. Perfect game. Draw every time. This was... Obviously, I'm a strategic player. You can tell. Anyway, guys, we'll see you tomorrow. Spinal Tap will be back for revenge, probably. Yeah, there are a few slight inaccuracies by both sides. 5 pieces are hanging. I'll see you guys later.